want to find anything to work. Yeah. I mean, it was like when they say when it rains it pours, it was like that. Yeah, but I always looked at it like if I could get my relationships were never bad, but everything else was bad financially. I was kind of like I was moving around a lot, but I always looked at it like this: if I could keep my relationships intact, I would be fine. I just had to weigh it out and push through, and eventually everything would work itself out. And I was right. But you can't give up. That's the thing. I think a lot of people give up too fast.
Yeah, with this one. So, I'm all for a divorce. Like, I think it's great that people can get out of bad relationships. But I will say one thing. In the past, when divorce was not an option, because you didn't have a choice, you made it work. So we have even like arranged marriages. I love India. I spend a lot of time in India. I have quite a few clients from India, and I have couples, and I've seen couples that get married because it was an arranged marriage. Yeah. And there's some challenges. And like, okay, well, is a divorce an option? Like, no, we want to make it work. And there are cases when it will not work. And then this is really sad because they're stuck with each other. That is really sad. There are absolutely cases like this. But, even if I think of my grandparents, even my grandma is dead now. It's just my grandpa. But when she was still alive, like, they still respected themselves when, each other. They, when they went out, like, they're always, holding hands. And my grandpa was, walking on the side closer to the street, right? Protecting her. So all of the chivalry that now it's, mostly dead. So you still saw that. And I thought it was beautiful. Because you're like, well, I'm not going to get any better. Like this is the only thing I'm going to get. So I might just as well make it the best it can be. And I feel, especially like our generation, us millennials and the next one, we've been raised with this incredible sense of entitlement. We were told that you are special, as in you're better than everyone else. And so we feel like any partner we meet, it feels like, unless it's like Angelina Jolie or Brad Pitt, it feels like I'm settling down, like I deserve better. And the moment something becomes difficult, we give up, we move on. But I don't know if you've noticed this, and if maybe that's been your experience or observation, but I find that in the general, our generation just gives up too fast. Like, because we're not used to hard work. We're used to that things should be easy. The moment they get difficult, we're out. And so we give up on relationships way too fast. That's my opinion for that.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are entitled, and I think it has to do with the environment, the media, how people were raised. It seems like if you have a disagreement with somebody, they're pretty much ready to be like, well, screw you then. I don't want to be friends with you anymore. I'm like, well, we can agree to disagree. So I think there's a lot of people kind of like, for whatever reason, they just think that everything is not supposed to be difficult. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of people just like that. I don't know. I think it's a combination of reasons why that happened. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and I don't see it changing anytime soon.
Yeah, I think to be fair, I will say that we are in difficult times when it comes to dating. And so even if someone like has the ability to show up well in a relationship, we are operating in a much limited market. As in, many people are simply not equipped. They don't have the skills and the capacity at the moment to be in a healthy relationship. Absolutely. I don't know when it's going to change, how it's going to change. But I also feel that we are feeling the price of it more and more. We have dating apps and they have helped some people, but a lot of people say that they have caused more issues than they actually have helped us. because we're trying to we're bypassing the actual issue. And when we do it, we usually make the issue even worse, right? So I think people are realizing that this is really not okay. Like, we have this pandemic of loneliness. We see what's happening worldwide about, women not being able to have a child. They want to, but they just cannot meet someone while they're still fertile. Men getting angry at women because they feel like, women are too masculine and that you don't have space for a man. It's like we start fighting and arguing because both parties feel hurt. They feel the price of what's happening. But for now, we just blame the other side. And I think that's the problem. We need to finally understand that it's not the fault of the other. We have co-created the situation. And so the only way to change it is by co-creating a new reality. But you can't force anyone to love you. And I think like women are hoping that we're gonna offend men so much that they will finally show up better. And men also, we're gonna put women down so much that they will finally show up better. That doesn't work.
Yeah, that's why I always tell people I have open door policy.
Say it again.
I have an open door policy. People can leave if they want to leave for whatever reason. Because the reason why I say this is because I don't want anybody to be around me that don't want to be around me. I don't want people to feel like they're forced, they're stuck, they don't have a choice. I'm like, hey man, if you gotta leave, hey man, take care of yourself, man. I wish you well. Because as I've gotten older, some people fall off, some people just drift off, and some people just stop talking. Some people don't call you no more, and they don't necessarily you might didn't do anything wrong. Some people just start hanging with different people and they go their separate ways, and that's okay. I had a problem with that when I was younger, because I looked at it like these people that I've met, I want to be friends with them forever. I'm going to stay connected forever, right? But in real life, it just doesn't work like that,
I think, sorry, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to add to this one that I think, I've been on both sides of that. I've been a nomad for, I guess at this point, most of my life. So, I live for a few months or a year or 2 years in one country. I meet a lot of people, then I move somewhere else. So it's really difficult to maintain friendships like this because my group of friends changed so much. And then also, wherever I am, I prefer spending time with the people who are physically there. So I don't have so much time to maintain online friendships. And I also don't want to be spending so much time online when I can spend offline time with people. So I get this, and I get that we naturally drift a bit more apart, and yet still, let's say if I speak to you once a year, it's like, we're still besties. But I will say that there have been situations when I connected with someone, and for me it was an important relationship, an important friendship. I feel like I invested and I wanted that person to be more present in my life. And, with the physical distance, I realized that it wasn't really reciprocated. Because, I kind of have this rule. It's if we are friends in one country, that still doesn't mean anything. But if we're friends in two different countries, if we, let's say, live together in Thailand and then maybe in the US, and if we're friends in two different places, it means that we are actually friends versus we have simply something in common, that we became friends because we have things in common, right? Because the moment you don't have things in common, the friendship will, disappear. And we have tons of friends like that. That's okay. But of course, we want to keep some closer relationships, and you have this hope that that friendship will survive regardless of your physical location. So there have been, I will admit, a couple of instances when I really wanted to be in a closer friendship than the other person. And in the end, it was painful that it wasn't reciprocated. And even there are some cases when I actually chose to let fully go of the friendship because I felt that I had expectations. I was almost getting a bit anxiously attached to the person, and because I could see that I wanted more than the other person, and that was too painful. So I just, okay, at this point we're just acquaintances.
Yeah.
like I cannot do this, like sometimes we're intimate, like, and I mean not sexually, I mean like with friends, but I feel like I cannot do it, so we're just acquaintances. It means I'm not gonna make an effort for you. If you reach out, I'll respond, but you're not gonna get the same effort from me as people who have invested in me more. So I feel like sometimes this can be painful, but it's like any relationship, if expectations are different for the relationship, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah, I can relate to that. It's like, and sometimes, people go through things sometimes, like personal situation, or maybe something might be going on with them just as an individual sometimes. So a lot of people, maybe they want to reach out more. Maybe they would like to be close to you, but they're not really in the head space and the mental space to be there. So that happens as well. Of course, it took me years to realize and get to that point or whatever. So.
And I think what's helpful here, it's we all have ego, and we all are afraid of rejection. And so what helps a lot is just have this practice of not assuming the worst. Because let's say if I have someone I either just like, maybe even like I'm attracted to them, or I like someone as a friend, and if they don't reach out, like initially, with me, for example, where my thoughts would normally go, it's like, oh my God, they don't like me. It's like something negative about me. And so then I'm like, well, no, I'm not going to reach out to them, because now I'm like 100% sure I will get rejected, because the story or the explanation that I chose for why they are not messaging me is, something negative. And again, that's about choosing the beliefs regardless of what's right. But if you assume that the reason why they haven't reached out is because they're very busy, or maybe because, like, this is kind of what I've been practicing, just assuming that everyone really, really wants to be my friend. Every man really, really wants to date me. They're just shy. They're just shy, and they're like, oh my God, I wish that Magda liked me. I wish that she wanted to talk to me. So I just make this assumption. And so if someone hasn't reached out to me, I reach out to them. And I'll do it a few times. And if I don't get a response, then I let it go.
Yeah.
Right? Then I let it go. But if I reach out and in return, I get a lot of like, oh, I'm so happy you're messaging. Yeah, I would love to meet you, etc. Then I don't even have a big problem with being the one who always initiates this, as long as I get this feedback. But if I don't, then, even if someone is going through something in their life and I reach out once and then twice, and the third time, and I still don't get feedback, then I let it go. But usually if someone is going through something bad and you reach out, they're happy that you reached out, and they'll open up and they'll tell you what happened. I'm like, oh wow, okay, thank you for telling me. Yeah, I'm so happy I messaged you, because I had no idea you were going through these things. So I think this assumption, just assume everyone really wants to be your friend until proven wrong. I would say like this.
Yeah, I agree.
Until proven wrong.
I agree. And the thing about being like meeting people, being in an online space, I always tell people it's really the hardest way to meet people, in my opinion, because it didn't used to be, it's not the way it used to be like 10, 15 years ago. 10, 15 years ago, first off, online dating or just meeting people online, it wasn't a lot of people online. That's the first thing. And it wasn't like no catfishing or no ghosting, and things were I'm not gonna say
also no fake online profiles.
No, you really don't know who you send an email to. You don't know if they're a troll, or you don't really know if it's them for real in the pictures. So I always tell people, man, I can show you how to meet people online, but that ain't really the easiest way.
I personally, and I offer relationship coaching, and I know a lot of people want this advice, but I personally I don't use dating apps, and I don't personally recommend them. I think, like, for me, it becomes like a job application, and in most cases, you really do judge someone based on how they look.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
for me, I have never started a relationship because I saw someone, I'm like, oh, they're hot, boom. No, I was around that person, and look, I think there was only one case when I saw the guy. The moment I saw him, I was like, wow, he's really hot, and then we dated for a little bit. Apart from that, every other person I ever dated, when I first saw them, not impressed in a way, but then I got to know them. And I became attracted to them through knowing them. It's interactions, their energy. So for me, the attraction has always grown on me. So I have absolutely no idea how people can do apps. I cannot do apps because how do I know?
Oh.
And like I feel like I just love getting to know people. And then if some of those, connections turn into a romantic relationship, great. But I don't know. I just like kind of organic meeting, with people. Like, I don't meet you because it's like I'm on purpose looking for business partners, or I'm on purpose looking for, people who work in TV because I want to be in TV. It's like we're open, right? It's like we just live our best life, and living our best lives, we meet the best people, and then they end up playing different roles in our lives. But this, I think, just meeting people with a very strict idea of what I want this person to be in my life, I feel like it just feels weird. I mean, I'll say this. I quite often, I used to get these comments on my YouTube videos that when they said like, oh, you overthink sex, and I'm just like, no, I don't, because most of us have really bad sex. But at the same time, I think you're overthinking dating. Like, you've turned it into an app. Dating, actually meeting people, what dating truly is, meeting people, that actually is natural. As in, like, we're social beings. So I don't think we need an app to meet people. I think we're bypassing the issue, which is, the fear of being vulnerable, fear of connecting. So apps don't solve it. So, but it's just if someone, has been successful on the app, that's good for you. I just personally don't like them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. It's
Have you ever used any dating apps?
Oh, many times. Yeah, many times. Yeah, it's like I said, there's some that's okay, some better than others, but it's the same type of things you have to deal with on all of them. Some have fake profiles, some people are just workers on the profile, on the website or the app. Some people are catfishing, but it's always, keep this in mind. Most people on these apps, on these websites, are never going to meet anybody. You have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I got a good, once I heard this good piece of advice, and I think people who have been good with the apps, they have this approach that I want to get off the app as soon as possible. That means let's get on a video call, let's meet in person. If it's just chatting, this is like window shopping. It doesn't actually get you anywhere. It's sort of like busy for the sake of busyness, right? Like, oh, I'm dating for the sake of dating, but you're not actually meeting anyone. So yeah, absolutely. I see that.
Yeah. So how'd you get, well, what made you want to teach other people Tantra and about intimacy? Because, it's one thing for you to be good at it and have your experiences, but what would make you say, hey, I can teach other people to do this?
I've always been a teacher. So there are like specific profiles, when you can say like, oh, I've always been good at this and that. I'm like, actually, what I've always loved doing and been really good at is being a teacher. Now, I don't mean like a school teacher. I mean, basically teaching something. And I quite often joke that I can teach anything. Like, what I teach is secondary. The core is that what my, I can say it, soul purpose, my life mission, whatever, my zone of genius, whatever you want to call it, it's teaching. It's teaching. So that means I love recording videos on YouTube. I love giving public talks. I love giving workshops. I love coaching and consulting. Literally, that has always been like the most fascinating, fulfilling thing for me. What I teach, that is almost like secondary. But like I told you before, with my personal life, my personal experience, or healing journey, I got into this environment, and so I was already coaching people. I started with like business coaching, then I moved to life coaching, then I started exploring a bit of femininity coaching and some alternative healing practices. And so then the more I was going into Tantra and sacred sexuality, that was impacting what I was coaching on. And eventually, like, I think what I teach now, I think I fully got that about 7 years ago. So it was evolving and transforming, and finally it settled on that. And I think, there's probably one of the aspects is also the age. I'm 38 now. So it was basically like when I turned 30 or like my early 30s, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I think that's kind of normal. Then in our 20s, we're still exploring. So I kind of knew I want to teach. I thought in the past I want to do trainings in corporations, So I knew I wanted to train and coach and teach. But what I was coaching on just came because I was so deeply immersed in that world, and I think was just very available. But like I said, I started getting incredible feedback that it is really the right thing for me to teach. I think, I think this is also how we know what is good. We have this good feedback. So I was getting like, remember like even being with my friend and just kind of like touching each other's arms. And he said like, wow, Magda, you have such incredible, like loving, conscious, present touch. Like you should be doing this for a living. And I was offering like these different tantric and healing massages and doing a lot of hands-on sessions with clients. And I was like, yeah, I actually see this. I've had clients like cry in sessions, feeling like, Jesus, Magda, like you touched my soul. So when you get feedback like that, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I have a similar experience. I always tell people, I never wanted to do any of this. I never thought about it. I kind of like, of course, I was doing videos a long time ago, but I never thought about teaching anybody anything. I never actually. Because there's a lot of people that come online and say, hey, I'm going to create a course, a digital course, a video course on whatever, right? I wasn't one of those people. I came online, I started the channel, I was just having fun, enjoying my life. I was going to conferences, meeting people, making money, just living my life. But I never said, hey, on my next channel, I'm going to start talking about dating and relationship. No, I never wanted to do it. And I never said I want to write a book. I never wanted to do any of this stuff. What happened is my friends that I was in the Navy with at the time said, hey, you need to write a book on this and talk about the stuff that we did when we were in the military together, and talk about